Hello, I'm Wendy Wilson, and I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Realizing Potential. Today I have with me in the studio a gentleman I've known since I've been here between Albany State and formerly Darton State College, and always had great respect for him, and he is very well respected, not just on the respective campuses of Albany State University, but certainly throughout the community in Southwest Georgia. He is none other than Chief John Fields. How are you?
I'm doing good, Wendy.
Good. You're constantly at it.
Yeah, busy.
Busy.
Yes.
You always tell me you're busy, though. You always tell me you're busy. So that means it's never changing.
It never changes. It's a good thing. It's
a
good business.
Absolutely. You know, when I extended you the invitation, you've been on the show many times, but I realized that every time you've been on the show, we were talking about some type of initiative, or you were providing some type of safety guidance and measures that we need to take as faculty, staff, and certainly students, and just creating a safe and healthy environment. And I said, but I don't know that we've learned much about this gentleman that I know so well. So I want our viewers to learn more about you. And of course, I know we'll find a little time to talk about, the fall semester coming up and some steps that students need to take so that we can have a very productive and safe semester. But let's learn a little bit more about you. Share with the viewers where you're from, what your educational pursuits entailed, and what led up to your current role.
Well, actually, I'm from Albany, Georgia. Born and raised. I was born on the south side.
Okay.
Homegrown, like some of the other chiefs that are in Albany.
Yes.
Graduated from Westover High School, class of 1988. I wasn't ready for college, so I decided to go into the military. I went in, my first duty station was Hamburg, Germany. And at the time, I had no idea, no purpose of going to war, but I ended up going to Desert Shield, Desert Storm.
Okay.
I was 19 years old. Before I went to Desert Shield, Desert Storm, I was there when the Berlin Wall came down.
Really?
Yes, and my unit was actually part of that border security, so we guarded the Czechoslovakia border. So I had a lot of experience at a young age, and when I first got to Germany, it was kind of a culture shock. It was snowing. It was around January.
Okay.
And that was my first time going overseas and flying for a long time. Actually, in the airplane, that was my first time flying.
Okay. A lot of firsts in the part of history.
So that whole 8 hours on that plane from New York to Germany, I did not get up, and I stayed in my seat. But I grew into that.
Yes.
But we did the Czech border. Germany is a very fun place. If you can, I will tell anybody, if you get a chance to travel, go to Germany.
Okay.
A lot of myths about Germany. I got over there. They got McDonald's. They speak English well, and they welcome Americans.
Yes.
And we had a lot of fests, Oktoberfest, German Fest. So we had a good time. I loved it, and it's a great experience for somebody that's young. And like I said, I went over to Iraq. My unit was called to be on the front lines, and so we were actually a part of the war. It was a scary time.
Sure.
Definitely taught me to be a man. I was a leader in my section. We were over there for about 6 months. And a lot of stuff that, as a military person, you put in the back of your head. I don't think about a lot of stuff until somebody mentions it. But it definitely shaped me to where I am today. I was fortunate to go to Fort Benning, my second duty station. And because I was at Fort Benning, I was coming home a lot every weekend, just about. Because I've always been a private person. The military has shaped me, even in my haircut today. I keep my hair low, and I try to, people see me and say, "You still looking young." I take care of myself.
Yes.
I have a stressful job at times, but I love doing what I'm doing. Ended up coming back to Albany, got married, got a job at the sheriff's department.
Okay.
And they were in the process of getting ready to go to the new jail. And of course, during that time, we had the flood of '94, and we had a lot of issue with the old jail because you know, the inmates that were there and the old jail. I was glad we got out of there. We ended up moving to the new jail a little bit earlier, and during that time they were giving opportunity to people to apply as an interim. Just to see in certain position, can you function as a captain or a sergeant?
Yes.
So I did both. I did mine. And fortunately, when they did the selection, I was selected as a captain. And I was 24 years old, and that happened in 18 months. So that started my career. And they put me on a path. I had to decide to stay away from some people. You know, being in that position, you know, in a law enforcement position, you have to make sure that you're on the right side.
Sure.
And not that I didn't talk to people, whatever, but people had to understand that I'm this person,
right,
and I can't go this place or do that. And as a supervisor, you know, I had to make sure that my people understood that also.
Yes.
I've always believed in making sure that it wasn't about me. It's never been about me. Make sure that my people were able to excel, and I still do that today. I haven't changed much. People tell you I'm a motivator, mentor, all the above, and I like to see people excel. And I tell people all the time, you're gonna get burned sometimes. You're gonna have those people that not gonna do what you want them to do, but you don't hold that against them.
Yes.
You try to make sure that you can turn things around, and that's a true supervisor.
Yes,
I agree. You don't take stuff personal.
Right, you cannot. You cannot. Wow, you said a lot of powerful things. One of the points that I like us to go back to, and this is certainly beneficial advice to our students who find themselves as they progress and matriculate and then start entering into their career fields. That can be very lonely at times. I don't know if that's the right word that I want to use, but
it's lonely at the top.
It is, okay. But you also have to make some decisions which will require some relationships to cease, and I think that's important.
Yes.
You're just going down different paths. And that is going to require you to be in some different environments, a different group of people, and I say this to my children all the time, that that's that whole piece about some relationships are seasonal and they have to come to an end, and so you look at them for what they were able to bring, the experience that you gained from it, the lessons that you learned, and it's time to walk into a different light or a different situation, if you will, and those people won't always walk with you, and so you need to be okay with that.
And you have to be, and like I say, family members or whatever.
Yes.
But you have to make a decision where you want to be in life, and sometimes you got to step outside of the box.
Sure.
You got to take a chance, and you got to be happy at what you're doing. If you're not happy with what you're doing, you're gonna be one of those people that are, I call them a career. They devastate people's career.
Right.
And so you got to stay away from those negative people.
Yes.
Surround yourself around positive people.
Sure.
But if you can change someone, that's what you're supposed to do as a supervisor. You have to do that. But you got to lead by example. It starts at the top. It can't be about you. You got to make sure that you try to make sure your people have those good salaries. You got to be compassionate. You got to be understanding that people have kids or whatever. If I need to fill in, then I fill in. You know, that's just me. And you have to think about those things.
Okay.
And, you know, go to church on Sundays.
There you go. There you go.
Perception is very important. The way people perceive how you are and how your organization is. So that's why I always advocate the importance of safety in my police department now. Let's go back to my beginning of my career. I gave up my first captain position and I went to the Doherty County, Albany Doherty Drug Unit, where I was K-9 handler and narcotics officer, just to get that experience.
Okay.
And I did that for about a little over a year, and I went back to the Sheriff's Department. It was a brand new operation position. I did that in 2000. I stayed to 2007. Then I came over to Albany State as assistant chief. I was in that position until January 2010. My predecessor left, and I was in the interim chief. And in March 2011. Then I took over full-time September 2011. So I've been the chief ever since then.
And tell me the chief's name that was...
Robinson Brown.
Right. Chief Brown. See, that's just how you've been doing your job so well. I'd forgotten, and that takes nothing away from, because he retired. Chief Brown, he was great in terms of his contributions to the institution, and so. But you've been obviously doing a great job. I had totally blocked that out of my head. That
Yeah,
I just
I
always
just
had
picked
you
up when we
serving
left
it.
off.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
outstanding, outstanding. So one of the things that I marvel at anyone that's in law enforcement is I'm sure you have to make a conscious decision for the whole work-life balance. This is very stressful. You're dealing with people, the public, constantly, and then this particular base of people primarily are students, and still learning to make right decisions. Their parents have then entrusted, Albany state officials. You are at the top of the list in their care and well-being. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's a lot.
And when we do news, I just left the Move On Ready, talk to the Move On Ready parents.
Yes.
And what I try to do is make sure that they know that I'm accountable. We don't try to cover anything up, sugarcoat anything. It is what it is. And you just have to be upfront. And I always tell people what they need to hear versus what they want to hear. And safety is number one. Students are first.
Yes.
I always tell people they're our customers. But you got to make sure that you mentor and guide them in the right direction. Even if they get in trouble, it doesn't mean that the relationship stops. That means that you got to make sure they don't make the same mistake.
Right.
So that's one of the things that we do and train to do. And every police officer can't be a campus police officer. You have to make that change. It's not like a municipality. You go to a call, you may make an arrest, and that's it. But here, you have to deal with those individuals on a constant basis, because Albany State, any university, is a city within a city.
True.
And you just have to make sure that you understand that. And I tell the new officers when they come in, you're a different police officer. Yeah, we do what everybody else do, and we sometimes we do a little bit more, because we make arrests, we run traffic, run radar, we go to a lot of training. But our sole mission is make sure that our students. We go out and recruit also, and make sure that the recruitment process is there and the retention is there. That's the most important part.
Okay.
Get them in, get them out. And we talk to everybody. We're going to talk to the football team, the athletes, and make sure the athletes understand that they're role models. Yes. They're the face. And we got a new coaching staff, and I think they're going to make some changes. We're going to see them in the football players and athletes in general. We're going to see them in more of a positive role model. I would like to see them go out in the public doing those things with the public and make sure that they represent ASU in a positive way. All our students in the organization, fraternities, sororities, we need to constantly do that, because when people say Albany State University, it should be a smile on their face.
Absolutely.
We know we're going through the consolidation process. We've had some rocket roads, but it's a whole lot better, and it's going to get better. Yes. And I see Albany State, I see the student body population growing. Matter of fact, the admission numbers are way up, and we're expecting a large amount of students, and we're getting ready. And my message is to those students that don't want to be here, just coming to do things that they're not supposed to, you're not going to be here long.
Very good.
And we're going to make sure that the students that want to be here, and those students that don't want to be here, well, you go somewhere else.
Place them on notice
early
on. Right.
And it's zero tolerance. And we have to do that, because we want the students that want to be here, that come here to get an education, and they have a good time. And we want to make sure that they're safe. Yes. And I give every parent, every student my cell phone number, and they can call me anytime. And that cuts down on a lot of mischief and a lot of questions, because when they do call, they may call our non-emergency emergency number, 430-4711. We want to be an information source. We don't want to have to transfer you to this person, or maybe we got to transfer you, make sure we transfer you to the right person. We don't want you going around. If you got a question, then we need to answer that. And it helps with customer service. And that goes a long way, because if you're practicing what you preach, they're going to tell somebody else. Sure. And they're going to tell somebody else ASU is the place to come.
Well, that's also a demonstration of your commitment to your position. Yeah, you've availed your cell phone number. I, as a parent, would be very impressed with that. That the chief of police has, the institution has offered that to me. that also sends out, you know, a very resonating message that you're attuned and you want, because information is so powerful. And if it's not handled properly, and we've certainly seen throughout society when people are misinformed, the challenges or or issues that can be created as a result of that. So if I have a direct line to the person that I know can give me something accurate, or just be able to provide me with a comforting word or piece of information. You may not be able to tell me specifically about my child, but if there's something that is going on, and I know my child is in that environment,
and that opens up that network. And if there's an issue with the child, we tell the parents call first.
Yes,
there's always two sides to a story.
Sure.
If somebody does something to your child says somebody does something to your child, we got to do an investigation. There's always two sides to a story. And as a parent, you would probably want, oh, that child needs to go to jail. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
We're not trying to put our students in jail. We don't have to. We're trying to give them a break. There are some offenses that, by law, you have to. Sure. But even after that, you know, we got our judiciary system, and student affairs is probably the biggest collaborative ally that we have. What they do affects the police department. So we try to make sure that we have a great collaboration with them, because they have an excellent staff right now.
Yes.
And we do the walkthroughs in the resident hall. We have close to 800 cameras on campus. We have cameras inside the resident hall, outside the resident hall, so we're always watching. And by having those cameras is a great deterrent for crime. It also let people know that we are monitoring what's going on, and it kind of puts them in a better way. So you won't be trying to sneak somebody inside the resident hall, because we can see that. Right. And if there's a complaint and there's some scrutiny in that complaint, we can go back and look at the cameras. Cameras solve crime, and also they may exonerate somebody from a complaint. So that has happened. So we try to use all those things that we have in place. That technology is something serious that you want to do.
It is.
We just created our cyber unit. We're monitoring social media now.
Oh, great.
So there were credit card frauds and all the other stuff. You know, we own that, and we probably were the lowest in the USG as far as thefts. And I can honestly say that.
Excellent.
And if anybody want to know anything about the police department, our crime stats, they're online. And like I say, we're not trying to cover anything, but we had low crime last year.
Outstanding.
Now we're looking for an interesting year this year.
Okay.
Because we got two cultures coming together. You have the access culture, and then you got the traditional culture.
Yes.
So they're coming together. So we want to make sure, in a lot of education, it's going to take the whole campus community to make sure that this works, to make sure that those two cultures come together and there's no issues.
Sure.
And it's a good thing. You know, Savannah State is an access campus. Some other campus that consolidated. I think Georgia State, Georgia Perimeter, they're an access campus now. So we want to make sure that we are in our place. We have our place in Southwest Georgia, and people are going to be watching, and they're going to see that, yeah, this is a place I want to send my child.
Absolutely. Good deal.
I'm a graduate of Auburn State University. My highest degree, I have 2 masters, political science, criminal justice. I am an adjunct professor too, for criminal justice and political science when there are some availabilities.
Yes.
So I stay busy.
Yes, you do.
My department, probably 80% probably more than that, I would say 90% of the officers have a bachelor's degree or a higher degree, or in the process of getting a degree. So I'm a very stickler about that. You need to make sure you get a degree, because it's free after 6 months. There's no reason.
There's no excuse.
No excuse for anybody working in the USG system not have a degree.
I agree. I had earlier this year, I had your colleague, Rob Rodriguez. He's chief of police at Cordele, and he's been, certainly as you are, continued to be, trying to be an example and advocate for education within his department. And his challenge has been, unlike the individuals who work here at 6 months, it's for free, but just, and we certainly know that education can be costly, but what I was impressed with what he said, and I'm sure you share the same thoughts, is that it's more than just acquiring an education so that it will allow you to then be mobile in your career or advance in your career. The skill sets in terms of being able to engage with with your base and those that you are representing and protecting is critical. So the sociology piece, the psychology piece, you have to be able to empathize with those that you are experiencing, and that's all a part of just maintaining a healthy and safe environment.
It does, and the education piece is, you got to be that model. I can't go out and tell you to get something I'm not trying to get myself.
Right.
But on the other hand, I do want you to know more than I know. And one thing about it with me, I'm not worried about somebody being a threat, because I want you to know more than I know, because that's less I got to do. And I can focus on more of the administrative tasks. And one thing I do, I make sure that I do provide professional development for all my command staff. All my lieutenants and above have or are in the process of going to new chief school. And that's very important if you plan to be a future chief. But they get to go to new chief school and they understand what chiefs have to do, because the life expectancy of a chief is 3 years. And I'm working on number 7. So I've survived.
You're doing something right, sir.
Yeah,
you're doing something right. One of the things, before we go into our some other questions that I want to ask you, is that you have always stood out to me because you are very transparent, not so much even with this environment that we're in, but publicly you are. And so I can rest assured when I'm listening, and just because of my PR and media background, when I have on the news or when I'm reading, rest assured within a cycle I'm going to hear about Albany State Police and the level of training that you're providing your staff, your personnel, educating the entire campuses about the importance of safety, being mindful of your surroundings, being able to speak. That's always in the media, and that's a great thing, because inevitably as life happens, something unfortunate or negative will play out. But you've already planted the seed that you are, your personnel are certainly well equipped to handle those situations, because we've constantly seen that it's been saturated in our minds.
And it's good that you said that, because what I tell people now when I go out and talk, we've got the training.
Yes.
We're doing a preventive measure. We're just prepared when something happens.
Yes.
It's important how you deal with it.
The response.
Yeah, the response and how you deal with it, how it happens. It's going to be the result of you being on TV for 5 minutes or being on TV for 5 days.
Yes.
So I would be hard pressed to tell somebody 100% that nothing's going to happen.
Right.
Because in the world we're in today, somebody's always thinking about doing something.
Sure.
And so you just got to be able to handle that situation, how you handle it, with compassion, professionalism, and making sure that it's done the right way. Like I said, that's going to mean 5 minutes on the air or 5 days.
I love that. Yes.
So that's the route and the thinking that we have, and I try to get my people to think the same way that I think. So when they're talking out in the public or talking to the students and faculty and staff, you should be saying what I'm teaching you to say, and it gives the community some sense of security when you do that. And you got to know what you're talking about. You got to be approachable. Now, somebody, I might not look like the most, and I told the parents that I might not look like the most approachable person, but I am. And when you get to know me, you will find out if you call me that I'm going to give you that information that you need. And one of my staff member kids that graduated from the old Darden College, she came to see her one day, and she been wanting to speak to me. And she said that, Mom, I sure don't want to get on his bad side. And she told me, he's approachable, go down there and talk to him.
Yes.
So she came down there. But that's perception.
Yes.
I want people to understand that I'm an approachable person, but I'm not somebody you're going to be able to run over either.
Right.
So I help you as much as I can, but the safety of this campus is my priority.
That's right. That's first and foremost. Yeah. Yeah. And I've always viewed that. You have a very serious demeanor, but I want you to have that, because again, safety is
presence.
Right. Safety is involved, and that your demeanor oftentimes is a I don't want to use the word indicator, but it helps people to think or make decisions as to whether I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. But your presence certainly, I'm sure, deters a lot of
and as chief,
negative.
As chief, you have to make those decisions.
Yes.
you may have to push the button sometimes, but you know, let's say a VP may have a decision in their department, and they have to understand that we all have a job, but if it interferes, it's going to have a negative impact on safety. Then I have to make a statement. I have to make a decision.
I've seen you do it.
So
yeah, we've been in many meetings where I've seen you. I
have no problem doing that because I get paid to be the chief.
Absolutely.
And that's what I got to do.
And I think that I'm sure that has lended or contributed to your 7 years in the role. One of the questions I told you a little earlier, we're going to shift a little bit. And so what I know to be a fact is those individuals who motivate others oftentimes need motivation themselves. So if you had an opportunity to interview, or let's just say, we'll make it a little more intimate, have 3 individuals over to your home, who would they be? And these are individuals on an international or national scale that our viewers would be familiar with.
It will be President Barack Obama.
Okay.
And his wife. Inspiration. 8 years of challenges, the political, always stuck with what his plan was. And you have to do that as a leader. And it's not about race, gender, whatever, but if you're compassionate about something, if you make a promise, you say you're going to do something, do it.
Yes.
The German Prime Minister, Angela Merkel, I think that's her name. I like her. A strong female running a strong country. That's inspirational.
Sure.
And it should be inspiration to other females to see that. And you think about Margaret Thatcher back in Britain, and some other females. You got Hillary Clinton and some other females that that you can look at as motivated also. And I'm a music person.
Okay.
I listen to all kind of music, but I like that inspirational. And Vivian Green is somebody that I would love to go to a concert. I'm looking at on the website the other day. I got to find her concert. I see she got a couple in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Probably wait she come closer.
Yes.
But that, you know, 'cause music is something that I go to for as a stress reliever. And I always listen to music. I have my daughter, she goes to Kennesaw. And she said, Dad, I'm tired of making all these CDs for you. But I said, I have to show you how to do it. But in my vehicle, I got like 10 CDs, and it's like R&B, you know. But it calms me down.
Yes.
And in my position, I have to be.
Sure.
And a lot of times, you know, I'm here all the time. I got plenty of vacation time. I'm taking vacation one day. But
you're going to have to figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, I got a mission.
I know.
And I got to make sure I have the right people working, right people doing the right thing at the right time, and make sure that our students come in on a positive note and end on a positive note, because it's very important. And I tell the parents, if you get your child a freshman, if they make it through that first semester, the chances are they're going to be very successful. Sure. So it takes a lot, and they wear us out during the fall. Football season, the other events going on, but that's what we're here for. Okay. God knows, homecoming. You know, that's going to be a big thing this year. Right. You know, with it's new. Yeah, it's going to be big, and then people love homecoming. Yes. And so I don't enjoy it. People, I know. I'm not forced to enjoy it, but as long as when I wake up that Sunday morning, that's your homecoming. Hey, I'm happy. There you go. I know. Watch that NFL football game. I'm relaxed. I gotcha. Well deserved. Yeah, we oftentimes take for granted, and I'm always compassionate and empathetic towards law enforcement. My father was a retired police officer from Detroit Police Department, and now that I've become an adult, I have a better understanding of the challenges and the toll that took on him. And I have an HR background, and I used to naively say, oh, people should leave their problems and their issues at the door, pick them up when you get off work, and that's not realistic, and particularly based upon the profession that you're in. You're human, and so that's going to blend. Whether you might be in your home away from work, but you're still thinking about it. How was that student that I had to deal with? I'm concerned about what tomorrow will look like.
for them? How will this affect that decision affect their future? And then when you're parents too, you come from so many different lenses.
We've done a lot of things. I want to give Judge Weaver a compliment.
Okay.
Because we're a state agency, but kids, they're gonna get into fights or disorderly conduct, or even take a drink every now and then.
Yes.
So he gave us authority to write city citations. And of course, the ratio of females to males on Albany State campus is probably 6-1.
Yes.
So you know what happens with that.
Yes.
And so I had to come up with a creative way to not take these kids to jail. And so by giving us the authority to write those citations,
wonderful.
We issue citations. They don't go to jail. They can't pay the citation. They got to go to court. And so he's going to be that mentor.
I love
and
that.
He's going to give them a fine or whatever, some probation, write a paper or something.
Great.
And then when they get through with that probation, that time period, they don't have a record. And those kids, believe it or not, they are successful. They don't get in trouble anymore.
Sure.
And then I tell the parents, I say, that's something that's positive.
Yes.
So you have to do that when you're dealing with college students, because the peer pressure and the temptation.
That's
people
right.
prey on the college student. They know when they get the refund check. They know when they're coming. So you're going to have the temptation. We want them to have fun. We want to try to have many events on campus versus off campus. But, the students support the city.
Sure.
They go out to they use the banks, they use the restaurants, they go to the shopping venues. So, that's the expectation that we have to do for the students, and because they are citizens.
Indeed.
And so when things do happen, I tell the local media, use them as citizens. Don't attach Albany State to whatever happened.
Sure.
These are citizens.
They are. I did not know that. Wow. So another reason to be impressed with Judge Willie Weaver. And one of the things that I like, and we're going to prepare to wrap up, is the fact that oftentimes people forget that we are dealing with a demographic or student population that when they make a mistake like that, and it's all a part of the learning process,
it is.
that frontal lobe has developed. I thought it was 21, and then someone broke my heart and said it's not really fully developed till they're about 25. But they, and then we were that age too. Don't always make the wisest decisions, but we're dealing with demographic because of lack of resources, influence, and connections. They may not be able to get out of the situation with grave repercussions as other demographics are able to do that. So I think that's outstanding. We still want to encourage them not to find themselves in those situations. I tell my kids all the time, just sometimes you have to make a decision. What's the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah.
And if that has a potential of happening, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Then don't do it. So I'm pleased to hear that you all have that level of that collaboration occurs, and you all kind of tag team.
Yeah.
And help them not to alter their futures. It does. It really does. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hopefully as a vice president somewhere.
Great.
Hopefully Albany State University.
I can see that too.
I'm still young, and I have no plans on retiring no time soon.
Good.
I love doing what I'm doing, but when you get to the point in your career, it's time to do something different.
Yes.
Not saying I'm leaving.
No, I know what you mean.
But I do see myself in a more of an administrative role in the near future. Maybe it can happen at Albany State University or somewhere in the USG system.
Sure.
But as alumni, I will always be a part of Albany State University, and I always say good things about, and I always tell people, you can talk about your house in-house, but don't let anybody outside talk about your house.
Indeed.
And so all alumni need to understand that, and we need to start giving. Got to start giving.
Yes.
Because we want to try to get the best and brightest students to come to this school. And we want to see if you give, then we can make some positive changes, get some things going on around Albany State University.
Okay. See, I'm already thinking Vice President of Institutional Advancement. Yeah, the whole time, treasure, and time. Yes, that is. And I had a life in alumni affairs, and that is a challenge with alumni. They have such a illustrious and proud history, and you earned something from Albany State University that can never be taken away from you. And that is a remarkable education. And so it is your responsibility and your duty to give back, whether that's time, treasure, or talent. But the connection needs to be fluid and constant.
And don't complain if you're not giving, not gave.
There you go.
You got to be
there
giving.
you go. Yeah. So that $500 check or that $50 check, and
not 2 years ago.
I know.
Today.
A quick story before we go. I had an alum. I just started as Alumni Affairs Director, Chief, and gentleman called and and he's like, I'm looking for at the time they were creating these publications, the Spire magazine. He says, and I haven't gotten one, I haven't received one in a while. And I said, well, let me do some research to see why that is. And he says, yes, because I write a check every year for $75 and I expect that. And I just was absolutely floored. And I was like, that's great, but I don't know much of what we could do with $75. And I could just tell by his age that at the time that he matriculated and graduated, it probably did go. It went a long way at that time. So maybe, a student was able to buy a textbook. That's a down payment on a textbook right now. So
need a lot more.
Yes. And not to minimize, give what you can give, but give consistently and just give. I'm reminded of the whole, you mentioned President Barack Obama, and when he was running for office, that, he gave credit that, give me what you can give. So the whole, people were just writing $20 and $25 checks. But when they started adding up, then that translates over into millions of dollars. And so,
or just volunteer. Move in is August the 12th and 13th.
Okay.
Good way to come in and show the students that you support them is come out and help.
Yes.
Because everybody is coming back on the 12th and 13th. All freshmen, all upperclassmen. So it's going to be a lot of stuff going on.
But
Student Affairs, I think, going to have T-shirts for those volunteers.
Okay.
So come out and help. And they'll be putting out some information on the times, but that's a good time for the public and alumni to come out and support our students.
Sure.
August the 12th and 13th.
12th and 13th. Okay. We'll plug for Student Affairs, move-in dates. And again, just the point that you make, just give back. Have a presence that otherwise you're not allowed to complain.
Yeah, you can't complain if you're not giving.
That's right. You got to give in some form or fashion.
Some form or fashion.
Very good. You told me, Vice President, I was about to ask you that question. See, that's in the making. That's in the making. Yeah, I love it.
That's what I'm striving for.
Yeah, it'll happen. Well, again, I hope I've said this to you, that it's always been always a pleasure being in your company. Have always admired and respected your work and your presence up close and even at a distance. You are always consistent, always demonstrate the very best of what an Albany State alum should be and represent, and just a committed member of this staff. And so you lead by example in so many different forms. So I'm excited to see what your continued future will look like.
I'm excited too.
Yes. Don't forget that you know me now.
I won't.
It's a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.
Come back anytime.
Right.
Viewers, thank you so much for joining me for this edition of Realizing Potential. I'm Wendy Wilson, and I will see you next time.